Welcome everybody to Hope for Our Times. And yes, once again, we have an incredible program for you. Joining me today is Dave Bowen, and he is from Standing Stones Community Church in Phoenix, Arizona, where he serves as the lead pastor. He's also the founder of Interpreting the Times, and he has a program right here on Hope for Our Times regarding the final hours. And it's just great having Dave with us today. Dave, you're also a professor at Grand Canyon University. Is that correct?
That is correct. I am, yes.
So you're a smart guy. Let's test how smart you are. What do you say?
There is a thing called imposter syndrome, you know.
We're gonna have a great time today. So I want to get if you're ready to just dive into it.
Let's go for it.
Okay, we're going to go.
Time is short. The rapture can happen. Let's dive in.
Okay, let's just dive in. I want to talk about 6G. I mean, we could talk about 100 different things, but let's go to 6G. Nobody's really talking about 6G. I remember bringing it up probably about 2 or 3 years ago. Then it disappeared, right? All the talk is about AI and quantum computing, and Starlink and everything else related to Elon Musk and Larry Ellison and the gang. Okay, 6G technology. In your recent conversation on it, you disguised the rise in 6G and its potential impact on society. So how do you see the advancements in 6G shaping the world from a biblical prophecy standpoint?
Well, 6G is going to put everything in place that needs to be in place when we get to the tribulation period, when the world gets there. We'll be out of there. We won't be experienced as believers, but when the world gets there, 6G is it's nanoseconds. 6G is bringing so many things to the table. And again, when technology comes up, it's kind of funny because my family looks at me. I'm not the big tech guy. I'm really not a big tech guy, but I follow technology quite a bit because that's where the world is moving so quickly. And those are the elements that will have to be in place when the Antichrist does come into the world scene. He won't set anything up. It would be all for him. And this 6G technology, what it's doing, it's completely taken AI, putting AI at the advancement and really removing the human element. And with most technology, Tom, what really bothers me is how much the believers are embracing it and accepting it, thinking it's the greatest thing, but it's just so dangerous because it's going to deceive so many people and mislead people who could be heading towards the kingdom and instead are heading in a different direction.
Okay, so what can you define or describe a little bit about what 6G is? Because we hear about 5G.
Sure.
I look at my phone says 5G on it. So maybe what is it?
Well, it's sixth generation. The G stands for generation. So it's the sixth generation, going from 1G to 6G in the last, couple decades. But they have what's called XR. What this is, it's so realistic, it mimics human experiences. It's as close to being human, and this is key, without being human. So you have that technology in it. They're going to have what's called a digital twin. So you can actually you could be someplace else and we could watch you do this show and it wouldn't be you. We wouldn't even know it's not you. So they have that kind of technology where it will mimic humans. But the dangerous side, right now there's software out there that if I can get you to speak for about 15 to 20 seconds, I can take your voice and make you say almost anything. I can get your image, so I could place you someplace, I can put your voice there, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but you have BlackRock buying Ancestry.com, so I may even have your DNA. If I want to persecute you, I could put you in a situation where your likeness is there, your voice is there, and possibly even your DNA is there. So the digital twin may sound like something very cool in science, out of science fiction, but could also have a very dark side to it as well. And that's all part of 6G. They have global smart network because this is going to take on a massive amount of data. And when you look at this, what they're saying, now the way they're going to pitch it is, how do you feel when you're out and you can't get any service on your cell phone? You could be on a mountaintop, you could be out in the desert, you could be out at the sea. Well, that's going to go away. With the new global system network, you will have coverage no matter where you're at in the world. And the people's going to say, well, that's great. I don't have to worry about not having any bars left. But what this means, not only will you be unreachable, not be able to reach anybody, you will be untrackable too. There will be nobody they won't be able to track. They will be able to track everything that we do. And with this technology, it's going to cover the entire globe. So no matter where you go, they're going to know where you're at. They're going to be able to track you with that. So that becomes something. They have what's called fixed wireless access, FWA. This will allow 6G to be operated just from your couch. You could close your window shades, you could start your car, you could cook your dinner, all by pressing a button or touching your watch or whatever technology you have. So again, people are saying, this is the greatest thing ever. But it's designed to control and take away all kinds of privacy and freedom from that. They have AI-based energy saving management. Now, they won't advertise that, but what this does, it can deactivate cell phones. So they have the ability, now they will give you coverage around the world. There's no place you won't be able to be where you won't have coverage, but they also have the ability to deactivate any kind of cell phone call, any kind of communication that you may have. And they're going to do it with AI-controlled traffic loads. They're going to say, we need to put this in a place for the environment, for the good of for your protection and your safety, and for the good of the environment, we need to put this in place. So people are going to say, well, that sounds good, let's do that. But what that does, it gives AI the complete authority to disconnect any kind of phone that you have. So you say, well, the church is going to be persecuted. How are they going to be persecuted? You and I could be on an internet feed like this. We could be on a cell phone call and talking against the government, talking against whatever may be out there, or we could just be preaching Christ, and AI will hear that. And for the sake of the economy, for the sake of the environment, they would deactivate our call, and we're offline with that. So that's all coming with this. It's all going to be automated. It's all AI-based automation, and it takes the human element out. So there will be things that people will gravitate towards, but understand what you're giving up. Understand the freedom and privacy. And some will say, well, that's already gone, which is true, but it's going to a different level with this 6G.
Okay.
But there's a little nutshell what it all has.
Okay, a couple of questions for you. One of them is, so can they, you said you could be out in the middle of nowhere, think you're escaping the system. If you don't have your cell phone, your watch, or whatever device with you, can they still track you in the middle of the desert somewhere where you're 300 miles from anything?
If it's so many feet to you or within an internet connection, yes. So again, but
even if you don't have anything on, when I was talking about your digital twin, you're still, no matter where you are, you can't escape from it, even
correct.
without a device on you.
Correct.
Okay.
That's the plan, and they want to have this operational. Now, man has his plans. You know, nothing will happen without God's hand being on it. But their plans is to get this out late 2026, definitely by 2028.
That's soon.
So that's how fast they want to move with this.
Okay. Now you mentioned being able to shut off, just deactivate your phone, deactivate a video like this going live or whatever it is, right?
Correct.
So it was several years ago. I was speaking at a prophecy conference in 2018. And I had mentioned that the time is coming with technology where when you think of the time of the system of the beast that's coming, you're driving down the freeway in your car and you're flagged as a person that is a problem for this government that is now in control. I said, think midpoint of the tribulation period. I said, realistically, as I look at what's coming, again, this is 7 years ago and how much further we've come. I said, what will happen is your car doors are going to lock, your vehicle's going to be pulled over, you won't be able to get out of it, you won't have any control over your car until the police come and arrest you because you've been flagged is that a realistic assessment of what is coming? So it's not just deactivating your phone, deactivating something like this, but something like that. Is that what's coming?
That is, they're saying one way they can repo cars in the future is that they will just lock you in and drive the car to the repound place or the banking place or wherever they want to take the car. You won't have any say in it if they're going to repro your car. So yeah, they will have complete control over it. Now that won't be talked about. That won't be mentioned. That kind of will come up. But people say, well, I'm going to come off grid and I'm not going to do anything with this. And I say, well, I'm the same way. I mean, someone tried to gift our family the Alexa a few years ago, and I wanted nothing to do with that in my house. But yet when I travel, I do use GPS. If I want to find something online, I do use Google, and all that is the same thing. So I'm not getting off the grid, because if you're using GPS or Google, then they have you. And it's going to go into the medical field as well. This really is the fourth industrial revolution. When Klaus Schwab talked about the fourth industrial revolution, this really is all part of that, because it goes into every aspect of our life. It goes into healthcare, it goes into banking, it goes into retail, it goes into manufacturing, and it goes into medical. 6G technology, what they're saying, it moves by nanoseconds versus milliseconds. Now, you and I, that may not make much difference. What's the difference between a nanosecond and a millisecond? But for a doctor, that means everything. It means a doctor now can operate. You can be in the operating table, and your doctor may not even be in the same country as you. So if you're having a heart issue or a lung issue or a kidney issue, and the specialist may be in South Korea or someplace else, with this technology, they can operate on you because it's nanoseconds. It's as close to being real time as we could get to. And they have robotic arms that will do the surgery, but the doctor will be operating it from possibly even a different country. So if you have a medical condition and you need help, there's no way of escaping it, what's going to come in the future. In China, they just opened last October, they opened the first AI hospital where they have AI doctors and AI nurses. And because the number of people they can see, people are gravitating towards it. But if this works, and so far it is, how far away from that being everywhere in the world? AI hospitals.
Okay, so as we look at this also, I'm thinking the easy way to sell it to people is simply, hey, this will save your life. You're able to have this surgery. I'm thinking, as I hear more and more about AI, and with Neuralink, when Elon Musk had said some time ago, or one of his colleagues said, the lame will walk, the deaf will hear, the blind will see.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in a car accident and you're paralyzed, why would you not want that? When you look at what it can do for you. I was speaking just the other day, and I gave an illustration about a time some 25 years ago when I used the Thomas Guide to get around. And, yes. And you know, for our viewers who are old enough, you remember what a Thomas Guide is. Well, of course, when you have GPS or a Thomas Guide, I mean, you know, I'm going to take the GPS, and I don't have to stop and flip pages, map out my road, memorize things like that. And it's quite, for the most part, it's pretty accurate. GPS, it just seems to be getting better and better. So when it comes to something like this for medical procedures, I mean, if you have a broken arm, suddenly you can be healed in 3 minutes. I mean, why would you not do these things? You have a speech impediment, you know, you're partially blind or you're fully blind. Suddenly, why would you not want something like that?
Right. Well, they have what they're doing again. In Las Vegas, they just had a huge technology conference in January, a month and a half ago, and they introduced their AI wearable device called Seeker. And what this is for those who are blind or losing their eyesight, and they can put this device on, and it will watch things for you and speak to you through Bluetooth. So it actually restores your vision in a way. So that's a new technology that's coming out. They're just releasing now something that's called a Watchman implant, which I think is a very unique term. They call it the Watchman. Even the secular world understands this. And what this does, this is for anybody who may have AFib. So they're actually able to put this implant into the heart area where the AFib is, and it's called Watchman. So they have medical technology that will be wonderful for some, but again, the technology needed to do that, there's a dark side to it as well. So you take the good with the bad, or you understand the technology that's out there, and people will gravitate towards it. And yes, some people will benefit. There's some good to it. Well, but you got to know both sides of the coin.
Right. So along these lines, you've warned about the dangers of emerging technologies like AI and biometric systems. Mm-hmm. So it kind of fits into all this. Can you share some of your concerns about these technologies, the potential role in fulfilling biblical prophecies, like the system of control linked to Antichrist, you know, this whole system of the beast?
Well, I spoke on this just recently. I said, okay, if you're in California, if you go out and buy a soda, and I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, if I go out and buy some chips, and somebody in China goes out and buys some corn, the mark of the beast says no one can buy or sell. Well, how in the world are they going to know what you're buying in California, what I'm buying in Arizona, what somebody's buying in China? This 6G technology can do that. That's exactly what it's going to do. Everything would be controlled by AI. That's why they're taking the human element out. So From one side, you look at it and say, wow, this technology really can track everybody everywhere all the time. And then you look at the biometrics, which you're talking about, things that not only are wearable, but things that they want to use from your own body. Right now, mandatory national IDs are in place in 7 countries. We have Argentina, Belgium, Colombia, Germany, Italy, Peru, and Spain. You can't opt out. If you want to go to those countries, there are biometric national IDs in place. It's coming this way, it's coming this way through England and eventually to America as well. So you won't have an option. If you want to travel, you may not be able to go to work. Many employees now are putting in iris scans if you want to get into a room. They're getting away from keypads, your fingerprints, everything that you have to give up in order just to have a job, be able to travel, to be able to go to the store. Aldi's store over in England, you have to have an ID to get into the store. I can't take a guest with me to go grocery shopping. I use my ID, I go in, and all I do is I get the bag, I pick things off the shelf, and I walk out. There's no cashier, there's no register, there's nothing, and they put it on my credit card. It automatically hits on my credit card. That's Aldi doing that in England. They want to come over and do it in America as well. You have Amazon do it with Whole Foods. You got the palm waving for that. So biometrics is being received and being accepted and being welcomed, and now you just take it to the next level. Once you get a taste of it, and you know how convenient it is to be able to walk into the store, pull whatever I want off the shelves, put it in the bag, and walk out. No standing in line, no checkout, no register, no wrong prices. People are going to say that's great. But they're monitoring everything. In order to do that, you have to have given up your ID and some things to have that card to even go shopping. That's today.
Wow. So about 25 years ago, we're 2025 now, right? So about 25 years ago, I was teaching a prophecy update, and it was to a small group, and there's about 200 people at it. It was a particular Bible study I was doing on Friday nights at the time. And I said, and I read an article, and I cannot remember the lady's name right now, but she's still sounding the alarm against this. And it had to do with the technology of tracking, exactly what you said. And she said, this 25 years ago, that there was an experimental store in Germany. I mean, to me, you just mentioned this with Aldi now, and we already know about Amazon and Whole Foods. But 25 years ago, she said, okay, you go and you buy a box of cereal, you take it off the shelf, you put it in your cart, whatever you have in your cart, no cashiers, you go out the store, it's automatically taken out of your bank account. And then she said it also does inventory. So if you take that box of cereal off the shelf, you put it in your cart, then you decide you don't want it, you put it back on, the inventory is all taken care of because it says, it shows that it wasn't removed or was taken and was replaced. So the whole thing, that's 25 years ago. So this isn't actually new, it's only new to the public.
Correct.
So when we start thinking, okay, what they are releasing to the public right now, we could definitely see the system of the beast. I can only imagine what has already been developed that we don't even know about yet. I mean, that's just profound to me when I think of it like that.
Right. And the powers that be, again, the fourth industrial revolution is what we're talking about. And people don't understand that technology and what that really means. But they're being so confident that they have all this thing ready to go. Samsung just did white papers. Everything I gave you came out of Samsung white papers. It wasn't something that I didn't need to do deep research. Samsung's saying, this is what we're doing at 6G. This is the plan. And they're so confident that their plans will be accomplished now that they're not even hiding it. They're telling us up front, this is what we're going to do. And you're going to love it. And you're going to accept it. And you're going to welcome it. And we're going to have you.
So Samsung just puts that out there. And it will be convenient. I mean, when I used to go to the gas station, I used to have to walk in with cash, give it to the cashier. I want $20 on pump number, whatever. Well, when you started being able to use your debit card or your credit card, I mean, why do you want to walk into the gas station? Or when you see, when you've got an opportunity at a store, you see these big checkout lines and you have self-checkout. I mean, all of these things, definitely right now, they're for convenience. They're easier. You throw in all the medical advancements, like you said back in January in Vegas, this conference or whatever it is that you went to. So you see these things. I mean, who would not want this? And the whole system of the beast is going to be very appealing. I had to go to Los Angeles recently to speak there, and we stayed in the hotel that we were put up in, and quite frankly, it was a nice secluded area, and it was pretty in the area, and everything was there. Everything was there. There were not only was the hotel there and a few other hotels, but there were also apartments and condominiums everywhere, all within, I would say, about a 15-minute walk of each other, and everything was within this 15-mile or 15-minute distance, and maybe even 10-minute. You had stores, you had restaurants, you had everything that you would need. And quite frankly, it was very convenient. It makes you feel like, why would I ever want to leave here? And so everything that's being developed, 15-minute cities, we keep hearing about them, all of the technology, it really is enticing. I would say this, the devil knows what he's doing. He doesn't have to force everything on everybody.
Right.
It's a lure, like somebody out that's fishing for the big fish. It's a lure. It's looking so attractive and like, hey, this isn't so bad. The mark of the beast is going to appear that way because it's going to be a willing act of worship, but like a lure, it's got a hook, and the hook is going to catch people, and that's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very much that way, and I just want people to be aware of it. If they choose to take it and welcome with it, that's between them and God. But I want to make sure that people are aware of it. It's just, I'm in Phoenix at spring training. I went to a spring training game the other day. I could not use cash. I could not buy anything. The whole stadium is cashless, and that's just the way. You can't even buy a ticket anymore. You have to go online and buy the ticket, and it has to be on your cell phone. So that's the only way you get into the ballpark, and everything's going that way. I am not on Social Security. I don't get food stamps, but many people do. Login.gov right now, they have 100 million users on that website. 50 state agencies use login.gov. So anybody who gets Social Security, that's how they get their Social Security checks. They're changing that now to where they're going to biometrics. They're changing it to where you have to do an iris scan. You have to do something else. That's in the process of being moved over. And people are going to think, well, it's great. October 9th of last year, they announced this. They're calling it General Service Administration. They're changing all that. President Trump is big into AI. He just did another executive order. They are just launching right now. Everybody likes, Chat GPT. We're trying to learn that and what OpenAI is. Well, now they're creating OpenAI Chat GPT Gov. And it's for government branches. So now the IRS and the FBI and the Homeland Department of Security and Agriculture, they all can go on to their little area, their little cloud, and have information gathered between them. So I don't know about you, but how do you feel if the IRS is sharing with the Department of Homeland Security, who's sharing with the Department of Agriculture, who's sharing with all these agencies? I don't know the security clearance that people have, but they have. When you look at ChatGPT Gov, which is now being put into place, they will have that. They're also working on in the United Kingdom. They're having the UK, ChatGPT UK Gov over there. So it's going global, and everybody's kind of like, oh, well, it's okay. And just be aware of what it means when it goes global, when you have no ability to get anything in paper, to get anything sent to you any other way. You have to give up your iris scan. You have to give up your fingerprints. You have to give up blood, whatever you have to give up in order to get just standard, what we're used to having standard, services.
Mm-hmm. So how can you, let me go here first. Is that the mark of the beast, or at what point does the system introduce or become the mark of the beast?
Well, it's not the mark of the beast because we're obviously not there yet, and that happens in the tribulation period. So when that comes into place, they're going to turn this switch and it's going to be on. Everything they need will be there. So when you have 6G, and again, you can buy something in California, I buy something in Arizona, someone buys something in Europe or someplace else. It's all being tracked. That technology is what's going to be needed for the mark of the beast to be implemented. And it's here. It would just be, you cannot buy this unless you take the mark. So I'm going to turn everything off. Right now, you can go and buy what you want to buy, and you can spend what you want to spend, but that will change when we get to that point in history. We're not there yet, obviously, but the technology is. And all it's going to be do is implement it in an evil way versus how it is now.
Okay, let's say we're here, it's a year from now, and it's all hypothetical.
Sure.
but it's going to happen eventually. So
Sure.
the only thing that's really hypothetical is a year from now. I don't know. But the economic system globally crashes. And the government, the powers that be, have to implement digital currency.
Right.
At this point, from reading things, different nations are going to have their own digital currency as there's a race to the top. But you have digital currency. You're going to have AI involved, which already is. And I would think also at that point, you will have to be scanned. You can't, because how would they control the digital currency unless it's an iris scan, a face scan, or something? So you have to go into a system in order to get your UBI, your universal basic income, because everything has crashed. How do you, or is there a way to avoid this? Again, if it's not the mark of the beast, yet, then it's another step there. I don't think it's as much of a concern, but it's still a concern because everything is getting inputted into this data. I mean, can you get by? Can you live? Is it a bartering system? What do you do to hide out or to not be having, like you said, the IRS, Department of Homeland Security, CIA, FBI, the local police, everybody sharing all the information because of 6G and everything else going on.
You grow your own food, you live off the grid, you can do that as long as you can, but it's getting to where you can't use cash at all. There's very few places. I mean, I can still go to the store and use cash. I can still go some places, but some places, like I can't even go to a ball game. I cannot go to a ball game and use cash for anything. I can't get a ticket. I can't buy a soda. I can't do anything unless it's done with electronic means. And I can't travel that way. I can't buy something else with cash when it comes to traveling. I have to have electronic means for that. So that just becomes normal. It becomes acceptable. And it's acceptable. People are saying, well, how do I do it faster and better? They opened FedNow last year. Right now, again, I can pay you money. I can send money over my cell phone to your cell phone. Well, it might take a day or two for that to go through. FedNow is instant. So people are gravitating towards FedNow. They keep improving it and making it more convenient. And that becomes the issue. As long as it's more convenient, then I will do it. And when I say that, it's a general term when I say I will do it. Many people say it's more convenient, it's faster, it's easier, so I'm in. Yes, it's faster, it's easier, but there's a cost involved with that as well. So how do you go off the grid? Can you grow your own food? Whatever happens, they're going to monitor everything between satellites, between communication, between 6G. What if you get someone to come visit you? You're off the grid, but your family comes and visit you and they have cell phones. Are you not being tracked and monitored now?
Yeah, I guarantee it. And there are face scan things all over the place,
Exactly.
whether anybody can admit it or not. You mentioned growing your own food. I don't think it's a coincidence, Dave, that for some strange reason, the only two, okay, so you have the bird flu.
Right.
Why is it that the government powers that be are only killing chickens? What happened to all the other birds? Well, that's interesting. And why is it that cows that produce milk and meat are the only animals that are targeted because of, well, quite frankly, cow farts? Don't all mammals have that same? So it's like very interesting that these two animals that human beings are very dependent upon for protein happen to be the only two animals that the government is targeting. I don't think that's a coincidence. If it's a bird flu, what about the rest of the birds? Right. If it's mammals who have a gas problem, what about all of the other animals that are out there? It's only these two major, right? And they are the major food groups when it comes to human beings.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Just be aware of what's being done because there's a plot and a plan behind it, and it's an evil plot and plan. Now, are all the people involved evil? I'm not calling anybody evil, but there's a plan here to get to an end game that God's going to allow the end game to come. We're told that in Scripture. We just don't know the day and the hour when it's going to happen, but we do know there's an end game coming. And everything we're watching come into place. It's like, wow, you check this box, and you check this box, and you check this box, and all of a sudden you run out of boxes to check because everything that's going to have to be there is there. So.
The ways of man seem ripe, at the end thereof is death.
Right.
And,
Right.
and so it is definitely a trap, but it's a trap that people are willingly going to just walk into. And it is easier. I can think of just when you think of the simplicity of things or convenience, um, you look at Bible apps, for example. Okay, when I first got saved, go back 35, 36, 37 years, I was involved in a group called Navigators, a discipleship program out of Calvary Chapel at Costa Mesa in California. And we were taught scripture memory. You memorized X amount of scriptures per week. It was great. All right, all of a sudden you have Bible software, Bible programs. This is great. I don't need a Strong's Concordance. Everything is loaded up into this program. I don't have to memorize anymore. All I need is just one particular word. I can pull up just about anything I need. And that has even become convenient to the place where you don't have to think, even for certain things within the Bible world. So it's the whole world that is being affected by this. Yes, it's for our convenience. And yes, you can get to this answer so much faster, but at the same time, it's the whole thing is a lure just drawing us in, and here we are.
Absolutely. You mentioned I teach on a Christian university, and sometimes I will stop the class. I say, look, guys, do you mind if I stop talking to you as your professor and talk to you as your dad? Can I talk to you the same way I would talk to my daughters? And they always say yes, tell us what's going on. And I will talk to them about things. What you just mentioned about apps and things being easy, having daily devotionals coming up, having prayers coming up. Well, there's this thing called real-time bidding, where all these organizations and companies who are trying to get you to buy stuff will say, I will pay $10 per lead or $20. They bid on it. It happens in milliseconds. By the time you open a website, they're bidding on it. And if you notice where if you say something or you search on your laptop, why do those ads start coming up? And how come those ads come up so quickly? That's real-time bidding. What do you think the game plan is behind that? That's what I'm saying. As a father, talking to my children, what do you think the game plan is? How do they find that information? Who's watching? Who's monitoring it? And we were talking about, I was talking about the Ray-Ban Meta glasses in class the other day. Even my students, be aware what this is. And then someone came back the next day and said, my laptop was open. I wasn't on it in class. But when I went to my next class, ads for the Ray-Ban Meta glasses came up. We just talked about it. She never searched for it. So again, just be aware everything you say and do is being monitored, being listened to. Privacy is out the window, just the day we live in. Because she wasn't talking about it. I was talking about the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, and it came up on her laptop.
Yeah, well, right now you're talking about it. My laptop's open, so when we're done here, I'm going to find out what's popped up on my laptop.
There you go.
So you have this book, Dave. It's excellent. Finally, the book of Revelation made easy. And you have all the different references. It helps, folks, it just really helps you to be able to connect the dots with the book of Revelation and all being put into this simple to understand. How many scriptures are there? You talk about it in the book. How many scriptures?
Yeah, in Revelation, there's almost 400 direct quotes. I use almost twice that because I will alert to some and then quote some. So I will talk about some and quote this. There's between almost 700 to 800 quotes in there from the Old Testament in that book alone.
From the Old Testament into the book of Revelation. So I find it interesting. I was watching Michael Heiser, who since has passed away. You're probably familiar with him. I wasn't real big on Bible prophecy, but I enjoy listening to him. Smart teacher. Even though I don't agree with everything on him, and I know he didn't agree with everything about me either, but he said something so interesting that I have felt so true, and it applies to second coming prophecies too, is he said when Jesus came the first time, he said that Satan, when you look at Old Testament prophecies about the first coming of Christ, they really seem obscure. And you couldn't really put them all together. In fact, Jesus even said to his disciples, after I'm glorified, then it's all going to make sense to you. And because connecting his betrayal, so many different prophecies regarding the first coming of Christ, even him being crucified, dying, raising again from the dead, they're obscure prophecies in the Old Testament that are there, but they're not all connected. And again, they didn't connect with the disciples until after he rose from the grave and then ascended to heaven. And he said the most interesting thing, and I have felt this for so long, that Satan couldn't have possibly connected the way God put it in the Old Testament is because Satan could have figured out that Jesus, the Messiah, had to go to the cross, and he would have done everything he could to stop that from happening. Instead, that was God's plan, that Jesus would go to the cross and die for our sins, to the point where Satan even enters into Judas and has Judas betray Jesus in order that he be turned over to be crucified. And when I look at prophecies regarding the second coming of Christ, and I think this book really does it so well, what you have in the book of Revelation is all of these, what some might say are obscure prophecies in the Old Testament, they're all put into one book, the book of Revelation, to give us a time frame and how they all fit. And that's really what you do in that.
Right. Years ago, before I did not grow up in the church. I was not we were not a religious family, quote. So, I was a ball player. Sports was our God, basically. But when the gospel was presented to me and I started to understand it, I started reading, and I was drawn to prophecy. I just didn't know it was called prophecy. I would see where God said something was going to happen, and it actually happened. So I went back and researched history, and that took care of the first advent, his first coming. But then I saw all the prophecy about what's coming next, and I tried to talk to people. I would get real odd reactions to the book of Revelation. Oh, it's too scary. It's too hard to understand. So I did my deep dive into that for years, studying that. And then when people were saying that, is the Bible literal or not literal? And they say, well, everything's literal except for Revelation. That's metaphorical or that's spiritual. I go, well, where does it switch? Why is it not? And what people weren't doing, they weren't studying. So that book takes you line by line and basically takes you back to the Old Testament, because everything in Revelation, I believe it's literal, everything in Revelation is explained in detail in the book, in the Old Testament. You just got to have the time to go over and research it and bring it back. I'm looking forward to the Jewish people who I believe the tribulation period, the main audience will be Jewish, not the whole audience, but a good portion will be Jewish. They're not going to read the book of Revelation. They're going to experience it. And as things begin to happen, when the seals and the trumpets and the bowls happen in Revelation, they're going to experience, because they do know the Old Testament. And that's why I try to bring on that book. I try to bring it to where a layman can look at it, be taken back to the Old Testament, says, this is what it means in context, bring it over, and now you understand the book of Revelation. It opens up to you, it becomes very easy to understand.
Mm-hmm. I liken what you just said to the Apostle Paul before he was Paul. He knew the Old Testament scriptures. He was exceptionally learned, but when he had the illumination of the Holy Spirit, he was able to connect all of those Old Testament things that to him seemed to not point to Christ. He's able to understand, all these do point to him. So you're saying essentially that's going to happen with the 144,000 Jews and the other Jews who are coming to faith in Christ. Is that right?
Oh, they're going to see it, yes. I mean, if you just look at the tabernacle, which became the temple, in the holy place, you had the three elements there. Well, you fast forward the Gospel of John. John doesn't have the parables. He has the 7 I am statements. Jesus says what? I am the only way, which is the only way into a temple and tabernacle is one way in. I am the bread. You got the table of showbread. I am the light. You've got the golden lampstand. All the elements from the Old Testament, for the tabernacle and the temple, points to Jesus. Well, the Jews, when they see that and understand that, they're not going into the Gospel of John right now. So they're not seeing Jesus as the Messiah. There's 9 expectations in the Old Testament that have to be met for the Messiah to be recognized as the Messiah. Jesus met 3 of them in his first coming. You put the church age in there, and then when you take the other side of the church age, when you get into the tribulation period, the other 6 expectations are met. And everybody say Jesus is the Messiah. The Jewish people especially will say Jesus is the Messiah, because he fulfilled all 9 of the Old Testament expectations. Many Gentiles, we don't even know there are 9 Old Testament expectations to the Messiah, but the Jews do. And they're waiting for that to be, that's why they're still waiting for the Messiah to come. But when you see in the Old Testament, in the book of Revelation especially, Jesus will fulfill all 9 of those expectations.
So you have those 9 in this book?
Yes, I have. Well, they're broken down throughout it.
That's great.
Israel has to be a nation again. There has to be peace there. There has to be a conqueror who will put Israel back in the forefront, and everything that has to be done through the Messiahs in the Old Testament, Jesus does fulfill. He fulfilled 3. There has to be a forerunner. We had John the Baptist. He has to proclaim to be God, which he did. What didn't happen was the whole world did not revolve against him or did not come against him. So when when Jesus was arrested, the whole world did not come against him and try to attack him, and he defeats that. That will happen in the tribulation period. So everything got put on hold in the Jewish mind. He met 3 of the 9, but all will be fulfilled in the tribulation period.
That's great. When I talk to Jews who are not believers, that is their big issue. No, the Messiah didn't fulfill all these things, therefore Jesus couldn't be the Messiah. Then I try to explain the Messiah is Jesus and he's coming back. But that's just excellent. Thank you for putting that also in your book. And by the way, everybody, I want to let you know, speaking of Jesus being the Messiah, we have a Seder coming up, a Passover presentation on April 18th. It's Good Friday this year. Bob Probert is leading the Seder. Let me tell you, it's a lot of fun. It is interactive. It's a blast, but you really learn a whole lot. And joining us this year also to lead us in worship is Israeli worship leader Josh Aaron's going to be joining us. It's in person only, won't be live streamed anywhere. It's in person only in Southern California, 412 Church in Temecula. It's also a catered meal, a catered dinner, and all of the proceeds go to the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ, to a ministry that is right in the heart of the old city in Jerusalem, where both Jews and Arabs are coming to know Jesus Christ the Savior. And let me tell you, it's phenomenal. The ministry is, the whole night's going to be. I hope that you can join us. Check it out at hopeforOurTimes.com. Dave, so going on with that, where we're just talking about these 9 things.
Yeah. You have the Messiah will be preceded by a tribulation period. That happened with the Romans. They were oppressing the Jews. You have the Elijah-like forerunner. You have John the Baptist. You had the Messiah then appearing, claiming to be God. Jesus did that. Then the next thing is, the fourth one is, an alliance of nations will arise to fight against the Messiah. That didn't happen yet. It will happen in the end time. So because that didn't happen, the Jews reject Jesus as the Messiah. Those nations will be destroyed. That hadn't happened yet, but that's coming. Jerusalem will be restored or rebuilt. It will be the center of the world. And then that's going to be happening in the end times as well. The Jews who have been scattered around the world will be returned back to Israel. Israel will become the center of everything, and the Messiah will establish his kingdom, and it will be a time of peace and righteousness. Those are the 9 things prophesied in the Old Testament. Again, because nations did not align against Jesus the first time, the Jews reject him because he did not fulfill all those. But that day is coming.
That's great. And the book is available. Everyone, I encourage you to check it out at the Hope for Our Time store. And then also, Dave, I know we only got about a couple of minutes left. I want to ask you about Babylon real quick. But first of all, how can people connect with you?
Interpreting the Times would be the easiest way to connect with us. Just interpreting the Times, it's all one word.com. All our teachings and videos are on there. RevelationMadeEasyBook.com is a website for that book. RevelationMadeEasyBook.com. So either one of those will be able to track us down and get a hold of us.
Great. Okay, Dave, real quick. The rise of smart cities, AI-driven systems, and on down the list. Do you think that we're heading into a new kind of digital Babylon?
Absolutely. Here in Phoenix, and I tell my students, Google this. Use AI, Google this. But if you look at Cul-de-sac, that's a building group, Cul-de-sac builders. They just built 700 units here in Tempe, Arizona, down by ASU, and it's not college students. And in order to rent an apartment, they have 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments. You have to give up your car. You cannot own an automobile to be a resident of this complex. 700 were gone quickly. They're putting another 700 in. And this cul-de-sac group is going into Denver, Dallas, Atlanta, Charlotte. They're going across the country, building these units to where people are giving up their automobiles, giving up everything they have, thinking it's a wonderful community, but it ties into the 15-minute city. It ties into everything that Babylon will be a physical, and it will also be a spiritual aspect of it. When you look at Revelation 18 and 19, there's a physical Babylon, but it's a spiritual Babylon. And what we're seeing coming together now, what's really happening now, is that's being put into place.
That's great, Dave. Always good to see you, and thanks for joining me today. And by the way, don't forget, everyone, Dave does have a new program right here on Hope for Our Times. Check it out. And it posts on Fridays along with Pastor Kurt Reeves. Great programs to watch. Sometimes we even have one from John Prescott on there. But Dave is right in there in that whole circle, and it's just fantastic. You'll love his videos. For any you've already seen, you already know that. And the ones that are still coming, you're going to love them. Dave, thank you for joining us. Oh, I forgot all about this. Totally forgot. Your conference is coming up in June.
It is.
I forgot about that. So what's the matter with me? Please forgive me for that. I should have brought that up from the beginning. All right. Tell us about the conference. It's coming in June.
We got conference June 6th and 7th. It's a Friday night and Saturday. We have the famous Tom Hughes will be speaking there with us. We have Brandon Holhouse coming to speak with us. We have J.B. Hickson coming. We have Patrick Wood coming with Technocracy. Myself will be speaking, and I haven't announced it yet, but we have a surprise guest coming as well. So it's going to be an incredible weekend. Friday night, Saturday. It's in Phoenix, Arizona, Standing Stones Community Church, or you can either come in person or we will be live streaming it as well. So June 6th and 7th.
June 6th and 7th?
6th and 7th, yep.
That is great. I can't wait to be there and looking very forward to it. Going to be exciting. And again, man, I'm sorry I didn't mention that earlier, Dave. Thank you. Thank you for being a Christian and forgiving me for that. But I hope to see you guys there. Join us in person. Dave, thank you for joining me again today. God bless you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.